Well, right, buddy. Welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for coming on the show. I
Good to be
appreciate it.
here. Good to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Definitely, man, definitely. So the first question I want to ask you, typical question I usually start out with is like, what drew you to want to act? Like, when did your passion start for acting?
Ooh, that's a good question. My my first, this might be the first time I tell this story. I don't know. Uh, my first acting job was in kindergarten. We went to the old folks' home and we did a version of the Grouchy Ladybug. And every other kid had one line, but I was the Grouchy Ladybug. I was in every scene. I killed it. It was awesome. So I guess you could say I started young. But also to me, so acting at my core, like what I really am is I'm a storyteller. And acting to me is a version of storytelling. There's all kinds of ways that you can tell stories, obviously, and that's one of them. And the way I see acting is embodying the story. So telling the story by being the character. Um, I'm also a writer, and also recently, this is actually a world premiere thing I'm launching, right? Like this right now is actually today. Um, I have a private practice that I've been doing for years that I
Mhm.
call spirit work. And what it is it's changing the story of our own lives. So it's learning how to say, okay, I'm the main character in my own life. What does that
Oh,
mean? What does it mean to take charge of that narrative? What does that mean to change the story as if I'm the author of my own reality? So this is I've been having this private practice for years, but with the launch of this new podcast that's coming out, Paramount and Audible, I'm opening it up to the world. So micahsloat.com, if you're interested, you can check out Spirit Work.
yeah. I saw that on your page, and I was very interested in it because I'm a big fan of the paranormal world. And I saw what you were right, and you said it's about healing, manifestation, and spirit work too. And what kind of like practice and services it like if someone wants to
Yeah,
look
like
on there
what
and
does it
do
what does it
something.
look like? Yeah, I get
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So Um, I got a master's degree in transpersonal psychology, and transpersonal psychology is you can see it as well. One of the ways of looking at it is bringing back the knowledge that human beings have been engaging with for thousands of years in the form of shamanism and magic.
Mhm.
Psychology, the understanding of the internal human experience, and magic, which is working in the world of dreams and imagination, is really working in the same thing. It's almost a rediscovery of shamanism, but like from a scientific Western aesthetic perspective. Um, and because I started working with all this stuff, and I've been learning all different kinds of shamanistic magical practices from all over the world for decades, um, and philosophy and all kinds of things, just exploring what does it mean to be alive. And I synthesized all of these things into a just you could call it a practical method that really gets into the core of what we want, what we're talking about. Like, why does anyone go to a life coach or a therapist? Or like, you want to change something. There's something about your life you want to work on, like something where you are isn't right in your story. You're at the beginning, or wherever you are, you're at the beginning of the act. Let's say there's a problem, and then to get to where you want to go, the end of the story of your life, or not necessarily the end of that act, whatever that goal is, there's a process. And in that process, in that journey, just like you would go a character in a movie going through all kinds
Mhm.
of ordeals and obstacles. Well, there's obstacles and ordeals in your life as the main character. What does it mean to overcome those? What does it mean to face them? What does it mean to face the dragons of your own unconscious that are in the shadow? What's in there what other monsters are in there that you need to make friends with or slay? And the process of doing that is a storytelling process. And the storytelling process is your life story. So to go in there, practically speaking, would be to go in and connect to what dreams are coming up, what thoughts are coming up during the day, what runs in your mind, what is going on in your world, like what is in the shadow, what haunts you at night, what are you afraid of, like to engage in the reality, the really core root stuff that a lot of people are afraid of or don't want to go into, because that's the most terrifying stuff.
It is.
Is your own unconscious, and your own, like the traumatic memories that you had from whatever. But those are the most important things to face, ironically. So that's the process, just going in and engaging with yourself. And one of the key points is that people aren't, how should I put this? There isn't anyone else who's going to ever heal you. Even if like a doctor cuts something out of you, you're still healing yourself. You're putting yourself back together. The doctor's helping you, but you are the only one who can be the hero in your life story. But that doesn't mean that you can't ask for or get help, like from the wise wizard or whatever archetype that you can come in and guide you, because everybody could use a Yoda, you know?
That's true. and just because if you say you have like a shop, like a shop with manifestation spirits, like a lot of people watching this or listening to this are gonna think like it's like a medium type thing or house cleansings and all that stuff. Like it's nothing with that, right?
No. We're not doing. In fact, I mean, I know how to do that stuff. But that's not what we're doing. If you're interested in that kind of paranormal stuff and, like hauntings and curses and all of that, then what you need to do is check out the podcast. Because this podcast, Paranormal Activity, True Tales of Possession, which is out now on Audible. And man, are we getting into the real, oh my God. So all of the things that we're talking about are historical accounts. People who say, I saw this, I was there. Mm-hmm. And we take them from the past and we break them down. And it's not just Katie and I who are the hosts, but we bring in witches and shamans and exorcists. And I mean, not like random kooks, the best people on the planet. Like we have the number one exorcist from the Catholic Church on the show. We have this extraordinarily powerful witch who I've been studying with for over a decade, who is one of the most eloquent and knowledgeable people about spirituality that I've ever met, and I've met a lot of them. We're talking the real deal witches and stuff are on the show, and it's we get into some really freaky, really scary stuff. So if that's your jam, yeah, come on in for the ride, but just be careful, buckle your seatbelt.
Damn, that I'm really looking forward to watching all the episodes of the show. Like it's gonna be amazing, because that's the kind of stuff that I like watching and hearing about. And so how did the show come about? Like, how did you become the host and everything?
So Paramount called me up and they said, we really want to do something in the podcast. Or we have an idea. We would like to do a show with you, and we don't really know what it's like. And I said, here's the show. This is what you want. And the concept for the show is this. There are so many ghost shows out there that are like, basically, this is the format of a typical ghost show. There's something weird going on, and you have a skeptic and you have a believer, and then there's like this argument over if it's real, right? That's like every ghost show.
Yeah, of course.
Right. And I said, I'm not doing that because one, it's been done a million times. And two, I don't think that the skeptic and the believer argument is actually grounded in truth. I think it's grounded in a confusion about what spirits are and how the spirit world and the scientific world relate to each other. And this is something we get into and put in episode one, because the basic question is, what is the paranormal? Like what,
Mhm.
right? Like, because if you don't know, if you don't have a concept of what that is, then you're kind of in a nebulous place of just like, what am I even talking about? It's just spooky stuff, you know? So the way that I see the paranormal, and this is what we get into episode one a little bit, is that there are like, what is a spirit? You know, like what is a spirit? Like, or is it just like most people are like, I kind of have a vague idea of what a spirit is. I see it in the movies, you know, but there's a very you can clearly define these things and understand them from a place that eliminates the skeptic and believer problem. And I'll just do that on the show here if you want, just as a brief, just so you
Hey,
get
yeah,
what we're talking about in the podcast
definitely.
a little bit. You know, we're getting into the real stuff. So
Yeah.
the way that I view spirits, or actually, let's take it back. The difference between the spirit world and the physical world, right? These are two fundamentally different things. And you can see them as the difference between internal and external experience, or subjective and objective, spirituality and science. There's this internal world, the world of dreams and imagination, and the world, like if someone has a spiritual experience, most of the time they're talking about a vision or something like a dream.
Yeah.
That's the spirit world. You can go voyaging in your dreams to all kinds of, that's the spirits live there. And then science is about the physical world. It's a story of what the hell is happening in the body and around the body. Like there's an objective quality to it. I can go and I can say either there's a car in my driveway or not, right? And science can't answer that. But
Well,
science
yeah.
can't really answer, do you like chocolate ice cream? Because it's a subjective thing. It's like, I know it's inside of me. Like there's a
Yeah.
spiritual quality to my own reality, my own sense of who and what I am. They're different. There's a different space. And no matter how much you like put a cap on someone's head and like look at their brain waves, you're never gonna know what it's like to be them.
Hmm.
Right? So there's just two different worlds here. And this is where the paranormal comes in, because we experience the physical world spiritually. We're having a subjective experience of the physical world. Does that make sense? Like
Oh,
what we're
man, yeah,
like
definitely.
everything we experience is a creation of our brain. I'm not
Well, yeah.
talking to you right now. I'm talking to like an electrical signal in my brain that I'm calling you. You know what I mean? Like with the whole
Yeah,
world is a
exactly.
matrix created by your brain. And that's where the paranormal comes in and becomes real. because
Okay.
because everything I'm experiencing, both waking and dreaming, is all an electrical signal in my brain. So I
Hmm.
can see a spirit, a person, literally walking into my room. I can see them with my eyes, and it's real. But if there's a camera, they're not going to see what I'm seeing. There's a different thing going on,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
this creates the skeptic and the believer problem, because I'm the person seeing this real spirit. It's true, but it's not scientific. It's a spiritual experience.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
of course.
it's still real, but it's not scientific. And so once you get that, there's no skeptic and believer problem, because you can have spirits and have them be real, but it's not in conflict with science. So what's the argument?
That makes a lot of sense. It does.
Right. So if we start there, and also I should add, I know there's a lot of people with like tons of different perspectives on the spirit world, and like all kinds
Hmm.
of different, there's like, you know, ghost hunters and religious
Yeah.
people and skeptics and everybody. And what I'm saying right now is my story. It's my story about reality. It's how I understand things. I'm not saying that has to be true for everybody.
Yeah.
There's a lot of room for all of us to have our own story about reality, our own story about spirits, our own story about science. Whatever it is, you get to tell your own story. You have the divine right to tell whatever story you want. And because we're the storytellers, we have a responsibility to tell the most useful story to ourselves and to the world. So that's mine. And if you have a different one, great. Let's just all work together to try to create better stories. That's my
Yes.
approach. So,
Wow.
yeah, there you go, man. That's the download for the day. That's it. We get into it episode 1. So I'm giving you a preview. And the whole
Oh,
podcast is like this.
that's awesome. I love it. And I have to, because you're big into the spirit world, paranormal. Like I have to ask, like the age old question, like what are your thoughts on what happens to you after you pass on? Like, do you
Right.
go to an afterlife? Are you a spirit? Like, can you visit loved ones while they're on Earth and
Mhm.
all that?
Yeah. So, like I just explained, we all have our different story, and our different
Mhm.
story about reality is, in a way, in like an integral part of what we experience life to be. So somebody who's really Christian, for example, might experience the spirit world in terms of their Christian symbology. They might see Jesus or they might see angels or whatever. That's their filter. So they're seeing reality and their brain has a belief system, and then they're understanding and perceiving what is out there through this filter, right? So everybody has that, no matter what it is. You can be an atheist and have a different kind of filter, and you can be a witch. You could be like an ancient Roman person, and so if you were like a pagan and you're seeing and relating to the energy of love, you might relate to the goddess Venus, right? But if you're Christian, you might see Jesus. They're both representations of love, right? And so there's this filter we're experiencing life through. And when it comes to the afterlife, your own filter, your own story about what is beyond is what you're going to encounter to a large extent when you go through the veil, right? Because there's two pieces to it. There's what is, there's like the truth in itself, and then there's
Yeah.
your story about the truth. So when you pass on, and you're going to transition between one realm to the other, the story you have determines what that's like. So, for example, if somebody is very scared, like if they don't want to die and maybe their death is sudden and they not unexpected, then they might cling to life and they might not want to go. And that can create a ghost or a shade, like somebody, their spirit who's just refused to transition. And that can create hauntings. So if you another perspective might, there are so many beautiful stories about the afterlife. I think one that comes from Islam, Sufi Islam, is that we are creating the world that we go to. So if you're live a good life, you're
Mhm.
creating paradise for yourself to live in when you
Yeah.
pass. And if you are a horrible person, you're creating a hell realm for yourself to go to. And I think the trap is to try to think of the spirit world as if it's the physical world. Like there's a place and there's like one place and there's one thing and it's either right or it's wrong, because that's how the physical world works. Like if you're going to go to Paris, you're either in Paris or you're not in Paris. Like there's only one Paris, right? But in the spirit world, there's an infinite number of realms and places where you can go. It's not like there's one right story for everybody, because we're all living in completely different realities. So the real question is, what are the commonalities between all of the stories?
Mhm.
And some of the things that we see, because the commonalities between all the stories sort of reveal what the truth is that's beyond our storytelling ability, like the thing that we can't hold on to and say this is the truth. We can just tell a story about it, but when we see all of the different stories, it kind of can feel into, okay, well, maybe there's a thing here. So one of the common themes for the afterlife is this idea of punishment or redemption, or like reward, the balancing out of your actions in life. We see that in, like, in heaven and hell with
Yeah.
the Sufi story I just explained. There's this idea that your life determines, like your behavior determines where you go. And I think there's a lesson in there that applies to actually the living people, not even the dead. Because if you live a good life, you create paradise for yourself on earth while you're alive. And if you live a horrible life, if you hurt people, you're creating hell in your life while you're alive. Even if you like get away with it, like you get away with hurting people, you're still creating a hell realm for yourself to live in. People don't trust you. People don't like you. You're manipulative. You're an asshole. That person's living in a shitty place, you know? So let's see. I could go on all day. I want to give you like a whole. This is why for each podcast episode we record for about 6 hours and then cut it down to 25 minutes because I won't stop.
No, but this is stuff I love hearing about. Like I said, like I was always a huge fan of the paranormal world, and I love hearing like stories like this from people that've been studying it a while,
Yeah.
like you, and hearing all these different things. Like it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, well, like I said, the podcast gets into this, and we have a couple of really like some guys who are bringing some really heavy stuff in terms of we go into the afterlife story thing a bunch. I'm wondering if I'm I feel like we need to do a whole season on the afterlife and like different
Yeah.
afterlife stories because there's so many of them and they're so interesting.
And you know, I see like you practice sha shamanism and witchcraft too. And of course I know what witchcraft and Wicca and all that is, but the shamanism I'm not really too familiar with. Like can you say what that is
Sure.
like a little bit?
So, in my view, witchcraft is just a name for European shamanism.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's all the same, not all the same, like the practices are different, but they're all ways of working with the spirit world.
Gotcha.
And that's what, every culture on earth, all of them, if you go back far enough, there's a very rich history of shamanic practice. Shamanism just being a word that we have adopted that means working for the spirit with the spirit world. There's infinite number of there's a different name for this in every culture, and it doesn't really matter. It's semantics. The point is we're working with the other side. We're working with the energies of the thing of both people who have passed, the ancestors. We're
Hmm.
working with the spirits of nature, the energies of the cosmos. We're working with the spirits that are, um, you might call them the bright gods, the gods that are the energies that are companions to humanity. Like if you look at the pagan pantheon, you see gods of love and war and creation of like crop growing and smithing. These are all things that are because of humans exist. These forces have are sort of mediate the cosmos to us. How should I describe this? Like if you look at the Greek pantheon, you have Gaia, the earth, and then you
Hmm.
have Demeter, who is the like mediating the energy of the earth to humanity in the form of growing crops and farming. And all of these energies and more, so many different kinds of spirits, but you can work with them. And it's not something you need necessarily training to do. You can just do it. And this is a huge caveat, and because I can speak from personal experience, when you're just doing it yourself, you have to learn. You're not skipping steps. You're making all the mistakes the other people have made, and it hurts. It's very painful. It's like riding a bike, but no one's teaching you how. It's very painful. But then when you learn from people from this great the ladder of ancestors, all of the people who have come before, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, thank you for telling me all of this. I don't need to make these mistakes anymore. It's so less painful. So that's the studying part. Um, and I focus on Peruvian shamanism and Hawaiian shamanism uh, because those are the well, I mean, there's a purely a it's hard to find teachers, and I was able to find some really good ones in those
Okay.
lineages. Um, and also, they speak to me in terms of the practices. I think it's important whenever you're working with somebody or with a system or any kind of lineage, what resonates, what harmonizes with your own soul, what's right for your spirit. Because if you're working with somebody like a therapist, how many times have people gone into therapy and you go in and you pay money and you sit there and you like, they're like, so how do you feel? You're like, I feel terrible. They're like, well, like, tell me more about that. And then you do that for an hour and then you leave and you're like, what the hell was that for? I'm like, I want, right? Because
Yes.
I've been in tons of those. It's terrible because
Yeah.
because there's a disconnect between where you are and the person who you're working with. If you're really working with somebody who resonates with you, they're gonna already know where you need to go. They're going to help you because they understand who you are and where you are, and they have the map. So if they've been through what you've been through, then they can say, "Oh, I see. You're at this place. I remember when I was at that place. That place sucks. We can get through that. Don't worry. Everything's going to be okay." Is that such a better approach, right? And that's what I'm talking about with between like resonance. So, and just a reminder out there to everybody who's struggling, because I've been there. Uh, don't settle for anything less than effective help, because you don't
Oh,
need to. Go find someone else until you find the right person. And I'm not saying I can help everybody. If there's somebody who doesn't resonate with me, I'm not going to take them on as a client because I want them to get help. I will find somebody to help them that fits. If
mhm.
I don't have the map, I will look for somebody who does.
Yeah.
Uh, because that's what you really deserve, is somebody who's going to know the territory and be a guide through where you are, not somebody who's going to take your money.
True. You're right. You're right. Nah, you're absolutely right. And where could fans like follow the show, watch the show, and also follow you at?
So the only way to hear the show is on Audible, audible.com/paranormal activity. It's an Audible exclusive. And you can follow me best probably on Instagram. I got off the Twitter thing, X, whatever. I'm not doing that anymore for I'm not going to for obvious reasons. All right, so but I'm on the gram, so that works for now. Follow me there. Threads. I'm on Threads. Not a lot of people there, but we're figuring it out as a nation.
There you go. Oh yeah. Well, the one last question I forgot to ask you this. I was going through your page and I saw you do like a lot of horror cons and horror festivals. And
Yeah.
one of the people that you met is actually one of my favorite wrestlers, Jake the Snake
Oh,
Roberts.
I love Jake. He's such a cool dude. Yeah. Oh man, I remember being a kid and just watching. He'd pull out the snake, and he was just like, oh.
Yes, yes.
And he was telling me all kinds of cool secrets and stuff. I had no idea there were so many snakes. It wasn't just one snake. I thought it was one snake. When everyone thought it was one snake. When you're a kid, you're like, it's one snake. It was like 300 snakes. It was like, you just go through. They would die in the bag or something, and you just get another one. It was like messed up. But Jake is the man. He's a great dude.
Oh yeah, he seems it. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate your time. This has been a lot of fun. Like I loved hearing the stories. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on the show, and I'm looking forward. Everybody who's listening, thanks for listening. You guys are the best.
Thank you, buddy.
Have a good one.
All right, man. You too.